Hello and welcome to the Footy Times. Now, before we get started, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It just a single like takes us a long way in promoting our videos and sharing. So, with that being said, this weekend we've had 25 goals we scored in the Premier League, and as a United fan, I couldn't ask for anything better. Uh, since most of all the top six teams dropped points, excluding Man City. But that's a pretty good that was a pretty good result for United in general because we won and a lot of the other teams lost. Uh, and now starting off with the biggest game of the weekend, the London Derby, Lampard versus Mourinho, Chelsea versus Spurs. Without further ado, Nisar, take it away.
Cool. For a change, I'm reviewing a goalless game. So I hope I don't have to do this in the
And
future.
you're reviewing
Uh,
a neutral game again.
yes, and a neutral game.
Maybe someday.
Uh, that's fine. I don't mind reviewing neutral games. But on your screen, you might see some key takeaways. So I was straight away want to dive into that first. Edward Mendy, the keeper for Chelsea, has kept the most number of clean sheets, and that too playing not he has not played all the games. I think he has only played 6 games and he has kept five clean sheets. So a team that is known to leak all the goals is keeping clean sheets, which is surprising. Uh, and also, uh, Spurs basically came with an intention of parking the bus, which they did, and it just furthered their stat of conceding the fewest goals in this Premier League season. They've just conceded 9 goals, and I think they also have the best goal difference. Obviously, that was Man United was partly responsible towards that. Uh, and one thing I wanted to bring out was Ndombele's performance. Uh, I thought that he was really tenacious and hardworking. He had he took on players, and you can see it was like he completed the most number of take-ons, and it was more than the entire Chelsea team, who are not short of attacking players in their team. So that was super impressive. So on the right of the screen, one thing that I wanted to talking about Chelsea's attacking prowess. Uh, One thing that doesn't reflect well is the amount of chances that Tammy Abraham missed. I think there were some brilliant crosses put into the box, but he just doesn't seem to be he just doesn't seem to have this element of his game figured out. I feel that if the ball is passed from the middle of the field, I think he's good at controlling the ball and scoring a goal. But he doesn't have this like the old
Okay.
school striker mentality, converting like
Movement,
crosses,
right?
yeah,
The,
movement in the
the
box,
starting.
convert like being at the right place at the right time in the box and scoring those goals. Because I felt like Reece James and even Chilwell like put some really good crosses. Uh, Again, this game was kind of boring. I think Chelsea were the definitely more attacking team, which is reflected by the XG numbers. Tottenham didn't do really a lot, and one proof of that is the heat map of Son and Kane that is on the bottom right. Like if you see, it's like they barely went in the box. So there are barely any chances created, and I think Kane was kind of invisible. I felt in the game. I couldn't see him. I felt that he was marked very well. Uh, I think Kovacic was in the midfield,
Yeah.
right? Uh, yeah, so I think he did
Good
a
try.
brilliant
Yeah.
job of controlling the midfield and just guiding play. And yeah, there's I didn't have anything much to talk about. It was kind of boring. Jose, I think exactly wanted to do this: park the bus, get a point. In the post-match interview, he was screaming and shouting, "The best thing for me is my team is unhappy," but
I
he
wanted
did
to say,
not look
yeah.
unhappy at all.
I wanted to mention that, right? He is a
Yeah,
PR merchant, honestly. He
yeah,
knows how to spin something in a way which makes him, it seem like he's done the best job possible.
Yeah,
And yeah, I
he's
mean,
very good at that.
and yeah, if you look at it, they picked up 4 points from 2 games. They went away to Stanford Bridge, got a point. Forget the fact that they played, basically stunk the place out. They never even
Yes.
tried to win. But then
Yeah.
he can come out
Yeah.
and tell everybody that, oh, we picked up a point away from home. We don't know what the players are thinking, but he can always say, yeah, look at the mentality. They're
Yes.
angry that they didn't pick up a point. So look at the job I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's
The
just what
other
he
thing
does.
he did mention was the fact that he he's. I mean, one of the questions that he was asked was, "Oh, what were the Spurs' chances of winning the title?" And he was like, he completely dispensed it at that
Hmm.
very same moment. He does such a great job of actually lowering expectations of his team. He did that with Manchester United as well, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like Spurs, even though this game was very boring, I thought this was an important result for both. And
Yeah.
in order to keep themselves, in the title race. I mean, just judging by the table itself, it seems like it's neck to neck. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
then that's another thing. Right? They're still top of the table. That's another thing he mentioned as well. So
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
as
for
far as
sure.
he's concerned, he's spun it very well. It looks
Yeah.
like basically, Spurs got what they wanted. And about the other
Yeah.
thing, the fact that he's downplaying expectations, he just does whatever suits him. I remember he called Arsene Wenger a specialist in failure back a few seasons ago. Basically because Wenger wasn't, you know, talking about a title race or trying to pitch Arsenal as a contender. And Jose
And
had
that
a
is
go at him.
exactly what he's doing.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he's had a go at. He said something like Thiago Silva's annual salary will probably pay for one. Sorry, Thiago
yeah.
Silva's one
For
week of salary can probably pay for an entire year of Joe Rodon's wages. So he's playing
Rodon's
that card
wages.
as well.
Yep,
So
yep,
he's
yep,
playing
yep.
all the cards that he has. Like I said, to make it seem like he's doing a great job, and that's just what Jose does.
Yep.
Um,
So yeah,
and
nothing. Yeah, nothing more from my
But
end.
the
So if you guys have nothing,
Well,
then we can move on.
uh,
yeah, I had. Yeah, you wanted to.
no,
something. Avinash, you have something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out, I don't have, there's no images or heat map, but essentially, um, he did one of those things, the man marking jobs that he's famous for. Uh,
Yeah.
Jose, like he
Oh
put
yeah, 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 yeah.
Sissoko, and
Yes,
Sissoko was
yes,
essentially playing as a right-sided centre back almost. When
yes.
Aurier was going wide,
Yeah.
basically dropping in between the fullback and the centre back on the right-hand side.
Yeah. Good you
And
mentioned it. Actually, I saw that on Match of the Day. They showed a
yeah,
very good graphic of that as to how
right.
he was like he basically freed up Aurier to not worry about Werner.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and
And
even Rondon to an extent.
yeah, and
Foden.
basically, yeah. So on the other side, Højbjerg was supposed to do the same thing, but they didn't have to do so much of it in this game because Ziyech isn't somebody who runs in behind.
Yeah.
He's more
direct.
somebody who cuts in, so he has the game in front of him. But yeah, that's just Jose, right? He's reactive. It's all about organization. It's all about making sure the opposition's dangerous players don't thrive.
Yeah.
And it's just another masterclass.
but do you feel
Yeah,
in
Yeah,
this
for
yeah.
sure.
game
Couldn't say more.
like all the Chelsea players like they have started to gel is what I felt. Like you could see the passes coming up, like Ziyech picking up, like he's, as we talked last week, he's good at picking up players anyways, but like you could see Werner also sort of not just running around to the goal, like linking up play with other player.
Yeah.
So that's what I think we were discussing in the earlier videos, that Chelsea will be a potent force once they sort of figure their dynamics out, but looks like they are sort of on it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
It's
definitely
very
look
Yeah.
like the better team. No question about
Yeah.
it. They
Yeah,
created
for sure.
chances. I think they should have scored at least
Yeah.
one goal. Giroud
Yeah.
should definitely have finished, and Ibrahim, like you
Ibrahim had a
said,
lot of chances.
had many
Yeah.
opportunities.
Chelsea actually gifted almost a goal at the end of the game. Like two chances basically came post
Yeah.
90 minutes. So
Zuma.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
would have been such
Yeah.
a smash and grab if Tottenham would have won it.
Imagine how Jose would have spun that.
Yeah.
Dreamland.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's
yeah,
that's
if
kind of what
there's
he does.
nothing-
He's a,
Yeah. If there's nothing, we can probably move on.
Sounds good. Moving on to Arsenal versus Wolves. Rahul,
There's
seems
pass.
like
It's a hard pass this time.
seems
It's really a hard pass.
Aubameyang
My God.
Sorry.
Yeah.
seems like Aubameyang didn't score again. So what happened there?
Yeah, it's not a news actually, right? Aubameyang not scoring. As
Tell me when he scores.
yeah, so
Jake,
not scoring is like not is like a
The
routine. Yeah,
default state.
that's a routine. So like it's one of the key stats that we have sort of shown in on the table, right? Like Aubameyang has gone 9 games without scoring from open play in Premier League, which is too much for a striker like his caliber, like the caliber that he plays at. And like particularly the end of the season that he had last year was incredible. The way he scored all these goals for fun, converting literally all the chances. So it's such a sad stat to talk about, but that's really that like yeah. He has not been able to score goals. That's the truth of it. Apart from that, like one of the major key takeaways was that Wolves won at Arsenal since for the first time since 1979. So after 41 long years, they have won at Arsenal, which it's really is surprising. Like they are really a good team. I think Wolves manager has lost just one game to Arsenal, and so it was coming. Felt, and it just happened this year. And another more sort of sad fact is that we were at a better position last year when Emery was at film than what we are today under Arteta, which is shocking to say the least. I think it's just the like how do I put it? Like Arteta being the manager, it's not highlighted a lot that people are not frustrated with Arteta, and people are giving Arteta the benefit of doubt. But this stat,
It's changing.
sorry,
That's
yeah,
changing.
that is changing. I'm pretty sure.
Arsenal fans have started getting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So that's a pretty jarring stat if you ask me. And yeah, I guess so. Just quickly going on to the game, we can come back to the key stats later on. Is that Wolves were an amazing team. If you see the whole game, like particularly the first half, the way they created spaces, Neto had an amazing game, and like the way he sort of worked.
20 years of age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that. Okay. But yeah, so he showed a lot of maturity for a 20-year-old now that you tell me, Sheldon.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah,
the
yeah.
way he sort of picked passes, ran through defense, and I think he just kept Bellerin at bay for throughout the game. Like Bellerin had a bad game, I felt, and half of it was his own doing, but Neto really had a very good game on the left of Wolves. Sheldon, you want to say something?
Rahul, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, do you think that the Arsenal did enough in defense? Because I felt like the two
Hmm.
goals Wolves scored, those were second chance
Right.
goals in a way.
So yeah, I mean
Mm-hmm.
the defense was a bit lagging, like all around the defense was lagging, and that's what sort of my point I was coming to was that Tierney and Bellerin had a bad game. I felt like they didn't track back, and because of that, the defense was sort of open. Like if you see Luis, he had to for the second goal particularly, he had to go cover on the right side. Sorry, on the right side of Wolves field. Sure, right side of Wolves field.
Yeah.
So he had to go in because the fullbacks weren't tracing back. So yes,
Rahul, can I
sure.
make a quick point? Like I feel like Louis should not
Oh,
have been on the
oh
pitch.
yeah,
I was
absolutely,
Yeah. Oh
surprised he
my
was,
God.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
as
that's
in,
the debate.
yeah. First of all, uh, like I hope Jimenez is can
Yeah,
recover.
yeah,
It sounded horrible. Like I watched it live. I was like,
yeah,
wow, that is not good. And I have no idea what those
yeah,
protocols are. Like, we can probably dive into it as a
right.
separate topic. But he should not, like
Oh
Louis
yeah,
should not have
and
been on
it's
the field.
surprising that he was
It's a
bleeding
I
skull
through his
think
fracture.
bandage and
call of the
referee
referee
didn't
though.
call it. I don't know. I thought referee might stop the play and tell him to go bandage himself or whatever. But he was literally blood
Yeah,
was flowing and the play was not halted, which was pretty surprising. So
yeah,
I thought the
yeah.
protocol was if there is a head injury and particularly if there is blood, you just stop the play and the player has to go tend to it. So
Hmm.
I think they did all the tests, but that's the point, right?
yeah,
It's just I don't. Yeah, there should be more. Like it's still taking too many
yeah,
risks.
Yeah,
They should just take him out.
Yeah.
And like they were talking about, even on Match of the Day, they're talking about concussion
Right.
substitutes and why it's still
yeah,
not been introduced. And they've been talking about it forever. Like, how difficult is it to just, if you have any doubts, any sort of head injury, just give them a
yeah.
substitute. Just take
Right.
him off. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. It's not worth taking
Yeah.
the risk.
Yeah, they have it in cricket and rugby. I think in the match of the day, they
Yeah.
mentioned that it is there in almost every other sport.
Yeah.
That the concussion
And
protocol.
football is horrible
I
when it comes to these
Yeah.
kind of clash of heads. It's so dangerous.
He has a
and,
broken
Yeah.
skull.
and just to add on that,
Just
Yeah.
fractured skull.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had
Yeah,
a
it
fracture
might be a career-ending injury, right? Like if he's a striker and if he cannot hit the like, I remember Peter Cech wearing
That
a
was
skull
really
helmet.
bad.
Exactly. I was just about to
Peter
say
Cech
that.
had the same injury. It was a skull fracture, but it was even more dangerous because I think a piece of his skull was actually going to penetrate his brain. It could have caused a hemorrhage.
Oh.
And they just about saved it in the nick of
Wow.
time. He was this
No,
close
but
to
like-
actually losing his
no.
life.
What I'm trying to
Sad.
say is like Peter Cech being a goalkeeper and doesn't have to use his head
Yeah.
that much. But like imagine Jimenez. I don't even know how you like whether he can play anymore.
How do you come
Uh,
back from-
I mean,
The-
they'll fix
the
it.
other-
He'll be back, but yeah, it's scary.
The other thing I wanted-
Psychologically, it's going to be hard to get over it. Yeah, go on, Shal.
Oh, I was just going to say that, you know what, recently we just got to hear that quite a few of the older players back in the olden days, they're suffering from dementia, one being Bobby Charlton. So it's not just a,
Short-term thing. Yeah.
an
Yeah.
injury, short-term thing.
Yeah.
It's a long-term thing. A
It's a
lot of
heading
people are, and I don't know. I mean, this is probably another conversation for another time, but does football need to be just played with the foot?
That's actually there are a lot of grassroots level coaching where they're basically trying to focus on that, taking heading out of the game entirely, and it's a debate which has started with all these dementia issues coming up, and it's been almost proven scientifically that it's related to heading the ball, like constantly heading the
Yeah.
ball. So
Like up.
in I don't know 10, 20 years we could easily see a game where there is no heading. So I
Yeah.
think there's definitely talk has started, which is great.
Like-
But
Yeah.
So
let's see. I
earlier,
don't
like
know.
in the same game actually, like you see, I don't know if you guys remember, Gabriel took one on his head, and referee stopped the play immediately. Like he just dropped, the block.
yeah.
So back then the protocol was clear. Like if the referee thinks like it's a head injury, you just stop the play and let the medics do their thing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that is still-
so it was followed then, and which is good, but it was not followed up for Luis, which was bad, I felt. So
I mean, they did stop the game, right?
Oh,
It was while he was.
No,
No,
I
no,
think
just
I
taking him
think the
off.
second time. The second time when the blood
Yeah.
started gushing.
and generally
yeah.
taking him off,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Arsenal
That
medics
was
should have
just-
just taken him off.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't understand
Yeah,
why
yeah,
he was not taken off. He was substituted at like the second half, but yeah, he should have had
Yeah.
gone off
Yeah, for sure.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry to
no,
digress.
that's an important, I think, a topic for sure.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest talking
Yeah.
point, or one of the biggest.
So
Speaking of Rahul, I had a couple other questions
Yeah,
for you
go
as
for it.
well. The Partey was missing in this
Yeah.
game. Was his absence something that you guys missed?
I mean, yeah, the player that he is, obviously, he was bringing good to the midfield, help sort of clean up mess in front of the defense. So yeah, we definitely missed him, and I think I just was reading it today that he might be out for the till the New Year actually. So he might be out for
Oh, wow.
for 4 or 5 games now. So that's going to be a big loss. I don't know.
And
Even with him, it was tough, and now without him, I don't know what's going to happen. To be honest. Yeah.
Midfield got dominated by.
Oh yeah,
Mourinho
easily.
and Denmark.
Yeah.
but as in I feel like second half Arsenal
Sec-
played actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think Wolves just retreated and they sort of
Right.
Yeah,
invited
yeah.
pressure. But I still didn't feel
No,
like
there
that
were
score,
a few
honestly.
chances. No, there were a few
never
chances.
got
Avinash,
the
Sasha.
just half chances.
No,
I didn't see
Nelson
any
had a
clear
good
chances,
chance.
to be honest.
Yeah, I think the keeper did not
Oh,
have to
just
make a
2
save.
shots on target, right?
But
Just 2
Patricia did
shots
not
on
make-
target. That was like bad from Arsenal.
It's just-
Arsenal apparently had 15% shots on target compared to Wolves, which was 44%. So
Yeah, I mean that's the point I'm trying to make. Like it was not that they didn't have chances. Like Nelson had a chance, Saka had a chance.
Yeah.
So there were chances. It's just that the finishing was so bad that it didn't end up on target also to first the keeper. So that was the issue basically. Like there were chances, but they were not taken. So that's sort of the problem. And coming back to your question, Sheldon, about Partey, this game sort of had, if you see the game, Ceballos and Xhaka were not in tune. Like they didn't cover for each other. They left so many holes. Like if you see the positional map, we didn't add it over here. I think we should have in retrospect. But anyways, if you see the positional map, it's incredible. Like Xhaka was like there was a hole in the midfield, like literal hole in the midfield, and if you see the average positions, and beyond that also, like Zaka's average position was that of a defender, which was just like mind-boggling. Like like he was less advanced than a lot of centre backs are usually. So yeah, definitely in midfield we were lagging, and I think again to add on to that, what we were discussing earlier, like it's surprising, but we probably miss a player like Ozil now. I feel like who can
For
create
sure.
chances. Like it comes once in a while for him, but I think that even is the best that we can muster right now. So yeah, so that kind of player is
Yeah.
definitely missing. What's the next question you had, Sheldon? You had
Yep.
something.
Oh, our second best goal scorer is Gabriel with 2 goals.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, that was my last point. That I think, was the only shining spot in the whole
Shining.
game. Defensively, he was
Yeah.
super. Put in the right tackles, sort of helped out the defenders. He had a really nice game. He even had a few passes, like forward passes, which penetrated their defense and midfield, which were good. So Gabriel has been like a revelation throughout, I felt, and I think, as at this point, is better than, in terms of the contribution, than Partey. Like overall, he's the best player in an Arsenal shirt right now, I feel, Gabriel.
Mm.
And
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
guys got
And
him for
yeah,
one.
20 million or something.
and he is still young,
And
very young. So, and if you see his goal, like he was actually being pulled by two players. Like there was one active shirt pulling,
Yep.
and if you
Yeah.
see it live, you can't even
Yeah.
say that he was being pulled. Like he had such a momentum. He's a beast, proper beast. So yeah, I'm really happy. And to be honest, like yeah, sure, we haven't scored a lot of goals, but we have not conceded a lot of goals this season. Which is, I mean, I'm not saying it as a good
Yeah.
point, but I feel like it's at least one step better than last year, where our defense was all over the place. So yeah,
True.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Can I
One
have
thing.
a go ahead?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One, like,
Varun.
just wanted to mention a quick thing. I just feel that there are some danger signs from Wolves from Traore. I thought that he was like on
yeah.
song and he turned Tierney
The
left,
second
right,
goal, it
center.
was
I think
Was it
as
amazing.
in
Xhaka
you
that
can
he turned
see.
him
Yeah,
for that
second
second
goal was
goal?
amazing.
Yeah,
He
as
built
in
it
I
up.
think yeah, in the key takeaways, the last
Yeah,
point was just
yeah.
surprising to me. Like the three players of Wolves who had more
Arsenal
dribbles than Arsenal as
team.
the entire team,
For
which
me,
was
that just sums up
Yeah,
Arsenal, man. I don't know what's wrong with them. They just, it feels like there's no joy. The joy has
yeah,
been sucked out. We were talking about Arteta focusing more on structure, and that's basically like everybody, that's all there is left. He's making everybody conform to that, but you have to balance it out with
right.
some kind of spontaneity. And basically, there
yeah,
has to be, yeah, there are certain players who have to conform to the structure and think about providing that platform, but then there are certain players who need to be allowed to express themselves. Like, there are some players who can, like Willock
Right.
and Reece Nelson and, all of these guys. Oba, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, Saka is doing
right.
some good stuff, but it's just, yeah, it's just so boring.
Yeah.
There's just
I,
no,
Speaking of Arteta, did you see that video or a meme where Arteta was with the substitute on the sideline and he wanted to tell him something and he
I know.
completely forgot about it.
And there were
I
memes
was
saying, what did Pep
Yeah.
tell De Bruyne the other time?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, that was really fun.
cool.
And I just wanted to shout out the colors also today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
Yeah, they had.
what was very interesting was the formation. He's been playing 4 at the back in the last 2 games. And yesterday was very attacking. He went 4-2-3-1 with a front 4 of... He put all his attacking players on the pitch, basically. It was Neto on the left and Podence was playing in a kind of number 10.
Yeah.
And second striker, Traore on the right, and Jimenez was later replaced
But
by
all
Fabio
of their
Silva.
players had superb games.
I mean,
Yeah.
they
Oh
really
yeah.
took the game to Arsenal. Traore was... Every
Yeah.
single one of them was brilliant, right? Traore had an
Yeah.
assist. He was
Yeah.
instrumental in the second goal. Beto,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neto had a goal and an assist. Foden scored. I think Fabio
Mhm.
Silva was also good in the moments where he dropped deep and linked play.
Yeah.
I thought they were
Yeah.
brilliant in that first half. I've never seen Wolves so attacking.
It
I
was
won't
a
say
joy.
open, just they went for it.
Yeah, it was a joy to sort of watch them. I mean, probably not the right
For
thing
a
to
non
say, but they really were good. Like upfront, Wolves, their link-up play and everything was pretty nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's it from my side.
Cool.
Lastly, one thing before we wind
Just
up,
wouldn't let go, Sheldon.
Arsenal. I don't know. This is a stat which I don't know. You probably know as well. Arsenal have created less and conceded more XG per game under Mikel Arteta as compared to Emery. So, in one word, Rahul, are you Arteta in or out?
I'm somewhere in between. To be honest, I haven't really given it a thought. Like the fan in me wants to give him a chance, but like a long-term fan, if that makes sense, yeah, probably
Okay.
not.
Sounds good. Sounds good. No worries. Well, moving on from the sad fan to the happy fan, that's me and Nisarg. Which was so talking about Southampton versus Man United. Now, this was a game of two halves. Clearly, we United were pretty crap in the first half. We were down 2 goals, and we played a 4-4-2 diamond, which hasn't really done us much good in the league, especially. We've done well in the Champions League with that, but without that game was an important game. Southampton were playing really, really well. Just going into this game, and they kind of replicated that in their first half performance. Now, the thing that I always give Ollie, crap for the fact that he picks the wrong lineup and stuff like that. He kind of did in the way that he didn't play Cavani from the get go. He started Greenwood. Greenwood had a really good chance in the first half, which he didn't really square away. But I thought, you know what, Ollie didn't stick to his usual tradition in a way of waiting till the 60th minute and trying to get the goal. He brought on Cavani, and obviously he had to replace De Gea from his injury. But the fact that he brought on Cavani was very, very impressive because the moment he came on, he was tracking back. He was winning the balls. He came back quite a bit. He was helping out the midfield, and more than he was very, very crucial in creating. I mean, he crossed the ball, which kind of led to the first goal, which Bruno scored. Yes, Bruno did score, and it wasn't a penalty. Uh,
Penalties.
so,
Still
Penalties.
Fernandes.
he cannot be penalized, and I'll tell you why. Because he's taking his 4 penalties away. He's still I think,
Yeah.
the most goals scored by a midfielder.
He's good, man. He's good. Let's get on with it. We know. We all rate Bruno.
with with that. But yeah, I mean, Cavani. I mean, some of the key stats you would take from this game were that Cavani is he's turning out to be a super sub for us because he scored. I think so far since he's joined us in 127 minutes, he scored 3 goals from the bench. Yeah, 3 goals from the bench. And in this specific game, he scored 2 goals, which are very crucial. And then he also was responsible for the assist. So he had 3 goal contributions, which the last time anyone did that was Oli, our manager, Oli Gunnar Solskjaer,
As a substitute.
against as a substitute against Nottingham Forest. I think this was back in 1999.
Yeah, he scored
Um,
4 goals, I think.
Yeah,
Triple
yeah.
winning season, I think.
Yep. And then some of the obviously Cavani and Bruno get a lot of plaudits because of the goals and the assists and stuff. But one player I thought who deserved a lot was Matic. He made the most ball recoveries,
No
15.
stat anymore.
Most
No stat
what?
hits anymore.
He
No
did it.
No,
He did
no.
it from a.
He was
He did it
he-
from a static position. That's the only thing.
yeah, he was. He did do it from a static position, I suppose. He wasn't too fast, but he still was able. I guess in a way it kind of tells you how I guess Southampton weren't that great in the second half. But most interceptions of tackles of 4. I think those were splendid results, stats for a DM that you would want to that you would want in your team. Although United played with Van de Beek, Fred, and Matic, so you know what, it was kind of crappy that we conceded goals. But I thought our defense was pretty decent for the most part. Um, you know what? I want to give a special, you know,
James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, James Ward-Prowse.
James
Oh,
Ward-Prowse.
it is that? Okay, I just guessed.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, he scored his 8th free goal apparently.
I told you
Is it
guys.
8th or
I
9th?
told you.
I thought it's 9th.
Eighth.
Oh, I
Eighth,
thought
eighth.
last time was 8th when he scored that brace of free kicks. We
I think
discussed
it
this.
was. I think I saw the stat. I think it was
Okay,
eight.
it's 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Beckham is 18, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The all-time.
yeah. Beckham is
Yes.
18. Beckham
He's
is
going to do
18.
it in the next 2 years.
For sure.
Like the
Easy.
I
I'm
mean,
telling
if-
you guys. See, I had marked him down for most free kicks scored in the season. It is going to be true. I'm telling
Do
you.
you have him?
Sure.
Do you have him in your FPL team though?
No, I don't. But he's not consistent enough to give points.
so,
I mean, he has to get a free kick in that area, right? It's not going to happen every
so
time.
Sheldon.
But you know,
Yeah.
have you? Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Rahul.
so in that goal actually, do you feel like De Gea was not positioned correctly? Like it almost looked like he saved behind the line, I think.
I am so glad you asked that question. Okay, a lot of people say that give De Gea the benefit of the doubt and the fact that it was such a splendid
Yeah.
kick. But have you noticed? You know what? De Gea was beaten last year also with a similar free kick in the same position, and it hit the same. Like it was exactly the same. He could have this, and the fact that you could. And yeah, this is what I've noticed from the 8 free kicks Ward-Prowse has scored. 7 of those have been to the left of the keeper. 7.
But that's just
But-
where the wall is, right?
No,
It's just where the wall-
irregardless of the wall. I mean, there have been times. I mean,
Right.
most of it has been on the left side. But-
Sheldon, I kind of don't agree. I personally feel that the penalty, Ward-Prowse and free kick at the place where he had it, is almost like a penalty to him. He will score 9 out of 10 times. Like if De Gea wouldn't have moved, this conversation wouldn't even have come up.
I
Like,
think
if
the
he would
fact
have
that he managed to get to it
Yeah,
itself
I
is
think
the
I
reason why
don't.
people are
I
saying this.
completely don't agree to your
Because-
point that he did
I
not.
don't know.
did not
I
do it.
don't
But
because
I'm just.
the reason is because it was not on the keeper's side. It was over the wall and it was in the corner. So and when that happens, I never tend
It
to
is-
blame the keeper
It is
because
the
it was
keeper's
not on his
near end.
side.
I don't know. I would give him the benefit of the doubt if it was the far post, but this was the near post. He didn't plant himself in the center.
It's
He
not near
planted
post,
himself
and
in
he's not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
He's on the
because
other
of the
side
wall is
because the
there
wall
on
is
the
taking
near
Yeah,
care
post.
of
he's
that
not
side.
supposed to be in the
That's
center.
not-
I
keeper's
know,
side.
but like I'm telling you, he got beaten last time in the same position. Why wouldn't you learn from your mistakes?
But it
don't
is
know what
just
they're
the
I don't
quality
know.
of the free kick. I don't know.
And in fact, I feel like it
We'll
wasn't
agree
hit
to
with the
disagree.
same. Yeah, he usually hits it with more whip and pace. It was a little bit more loopy, and which is why De Gea even got a hand to it.
I am not taking anything away from Ward-Prowse. I mean, the fact that it was a genuinely really good free kick. I mean, it was very accurate. He put in with great pace. But I just felt that, you know what? There's a lot of science and data analytics that go into, even like figuring out when someone takes a penalty, which side they prefer as to which. So I feel that could have been replicated if who's not a data analyst in football, can do a little bit of Google stuff, and he could.
No, but that's the thing, right? Like if he was positioned to save on that side of the post, and if the goal went on the other side, people would have literally butchered him
That's pure.
because that's a
I don't.
That's not how you do.
that is a crime
Yeah.
to do.
You
Right?
can't even
That
do
is
that.
pretty much a crime to commit.
No, but okay, then here's the other thing though. Why I've also noticed that if he's such a prolific free kick taker, why isn't there someone on the line?
As in, I think you just
A
want
player.
to remove the offside, right? You just want to remove the
Yeah.
offside option. Because
Rebound.
if there's a player on the
can
goal
slip
line,
on, yeah.
then you just open the entire space
Right,
up
for
to,
rebound.
I don't
to
know.
that.
That's why they don't keep people on the line, right?
Yeah,
You shouldn't ask
otherwise,
this question,
like,
Sheldon.
that
The
was-
third
that
Man
was-
United goal was because of that, right? one of the Southampton's defender trying to block a ball, and Cavani was playing Cavani onside, like literally for that
Oh,
reason.
yeah. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think
that
he
was
just
like the
opened up a lot of
indirect free kick,
space.
but
Yeah, I think anyway we should probably move
Yeah.
on. Too much
Yeah.
forensic analysis
wait.
over a free kick.
Wait. So, speaking of which, do you know that which present Premier League player has scored the same number of free kicks?
Same.
Yeah.
Milner?
Anyone? Milner? No.
I don't know.
No idea.
No idea.
No idea. Okay, it's
I'll reply in the.
Man U. Huh?
No, go ahead. Who's it?
It's Juan Mata from Man United.
Oh.
Wow.
That's
Would
good.
have not guessed
Yeah.
that.
He's not getting near Beckham's record though. But anyway, yeah, I think before we move on, I think quick shout out to well, I want to point something about Southampton. Well, actually two things. One was Cavani's movement, right? And I think this is a good contrast with Tammy.
Mhm.
The kind of
Yeah.
movement that Cavani showed is exactly what Tammy needs to learn. And I think they might have mentioned this on Match of the Day as well. And the other thing was Southampton.
No. Go ahead. I think a lot of not just Tammy. I think a lot of the younger strikers
Striker.
lack that.
Positional awareness.
It's just going out of the
Rashford
game, isn't
or-
it? It's just going out of the
Okay,
game with
yeah.
all this false nine nonsense.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing was, I think Southampton, they just don't seem to be able to hold on to leads. I think, I don't know if you have this as one of the stats, but I think that's in the league from winning positions since the start of last season.
Oh.
And somehow I see there are similarities with Klopp's Liverpool before, in the early days, when they're very similar sort of philosophy, right? They come out of the blocks, they press high, they throw men forward, and then they seem to retreat a little bit and they're not able to manage the game. And I think that's probably due to fatigue as well because of the style of play. And you can't.
Yeah.
I remember as soon as we went 2-0 up, I'd start shitting my pants because that's when we never knew when to sort of start managing the game, and it was always just 90 miles an hour. Just keep flooding forward, just keep trying to press, and that is something Southampton will have to learn. And they have the quality to just be able to take their breaks during the game, manage their energy, over a 90-minute spell rather than just going all out.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think they lost the. Yeah, I think they were tired. You could see in the second half that like United were just in their half almost the entire
happened before, and-
thing.
Yeah, there was another stat that they've conceded like 4 goals in the first half and 12 in the second half.
Oh.
And
Wow.
so it's like for first half goals, they are top 4 or something, very high up in the league, second in the league in terms of goals
Yeah.
conceded, and 19th for second half goals conceded. So there's something there
Man.
Wow.
to look at for
Yeah.
us.
Speaking of goals conceded, the United have conceded, I think, about 10 goals in the first half,
Yeah, you see that in the
and
stats.
which is ridiculous. Oh, and guess, can anyone guess which other has the most number of goals conceded in the first half?
Liverpool.
Yep, that is it.
I mean, they just conceded most number of goals, period. We are just a goal bank right now. Just come and deposit all your goals
Cool.
with us. Anyway,
You should probably move on.
Yeah.
I'm
We have
really
enough of,
keen to talk about this game.
Looks like Avinash is, since we were talking about Liverpool and the fact that they've conceded 12 goals, Avinash, go ahead.
16. I think it's 16 or 17. I've stopped
Take
counting now.
it away with the Brighton versus Liverpool game.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I think it was. Let me start off by saying it was always going to be a difficult game. I didn't expect anything else. We literally had like third string players playing in certain positions. We had Nat Phillips and Nico Williams in defense. Our midfield is down to bare bones as well, because as a knock-on effect because of Fabinho playing in defense. Now we played Minamino in midfield, who's never played there. That's not really his game. He's kind of more of a
Number 10.
Yeah, number 10, especially in a Klopp midfield, he doesn't have the physicality to carry it off. He's more this cute sort of player, clever feet, taking the ball in between the lines and turning and that kind of thing. So it was really like we were just a very patched up team, and third game in 6 days, very little turnaround time from playing on Wednesday night. We'll get into that more, I think. We'll talk. And I thought we kind of started brightly, but I always knew Brighton would come into the game, and they did. And there were times where they were getting in behind far too easily in the first half through Connolly mainly. You can see the 2 images that I have. The first one is basically Nat Phillips has stepped up and Minamino is in front pressing the ball. So there's kind of a communication problem there because neither of them are used to playing. I mean, Minamino is not used to playing in midfield, and Nat Phillips is not used to playing, period. So he probably shouldn't have stepped up. There's a lack of communication in the back line because there's so many new players there. There's no leader. And then there's such an easy run for Connolly in behind, and he actually he had a really easy chance from that situation which he missed, which he should have put away. And then the second screenshot is basically Fabinho, who's also at fault, who's stepped up again. The line is all over the place, and there's another easy run in behind. So they kept doing this time and time again, and somehow we got away with it. Nico Williams gave away a penalty as well. So there's a second penalty that somebody has put wide against us after De Bruyne. So we were definitely lucky to go into halftime at 0-0. It could easily have been 2-0 or worse. Second half, we introduced Hendo for Nico Williams. Milner moved to RB, and suddenly you could see the game change. There was more tempo, there was more energy, there was more control, there was more everything basically. It just looked so much better. We controlled the game that was more like the Liverpool that we're used to seeing. Scored, Jota, nothing new there. And we pretty much managed the game from there on. It was, I never really broke a sweat. I thought we were completely in control. Brighton really didn't have a sniff. In the last 10 minutes, I anticipated there might be some, I think it was like fatigue and sort of, tired legs. They tried to just retreat and hold on to the lead, which is kind of natural, I guess, in that situation. But even then, Brighton didn't really create anything. And then, that penalty was just, it was a very innocuous moment. I couldn't even tell in real time that there was even a VAR check that's going to happen. But they did do that. And
hardly any appeals, right?
Yeah, I mean, Welbeck actually admitted later on that it wasn't a penalty. But I mean, you know what? We got a very similar one for Salah against West Ham. And unfortunately, that's just how the game is refereed now. Any sort of contact in the box, especially if you kick the attacker, if you make contact with his foot, it feels like it's just going to be given a penalty. Yep. And that's just how it is. Although, I mean, there were a couple of other games where I think Adama Traore had a similar situation where he got stamped on and that he actually got booked for simulation. So consistency is still a problem. And again, you can debate whether it was really clear and obvious. If the referee had given it in real time and they had upheld it on VAR, maybe you could have accepted it. But the fact that they thought it was clear and obvious enough to overturn, again, yeah. But like I said, I'm okay with it. On the whole, I think it was a fair result. It doesn't feel great because this is, believe it or not, this is only the second time that we are dropping points against a team in the bottom 5 since April 2018. That was West Brom when they were in the league before. And since then, I think it's been only once. It was Watford, that crazy 3-0 defeat in February, where we pretty much had the League One at that time. So this is a feeling I'm just not used to. They've been really good at putting these teams away pretty much for the last 2 years. So yeah, that kind of didn't feel great. But then again, I think Brighton are much, much better than the position in the table suggests. You can see some of their stats. It's actually incredible. They're the top of the league for shots conceded per game, which is basically the least shots conceded per game. They are, I think, 4th for XG against, and they're in the top 10 for possession, shots per game, and XG. So basically, this is a top 8 team, right? The underlying metrics suggest that they should be far higher than they are. So, like I said, and their XG in this game was ridiculous. I mean, I don't think we've been beaten on the XG in a while. So, on the whole, I think it's a point gained. Even though it feels of how it panned out and the stoppage time equalizer and all that. So, I'll say we just take the point and we move. We still join top. Thankfully, Tottenham winning would have meant that we're 2 points behind, which didn't happen. So, I think, we just got to draw a line under this and move on. So, I think that's what Klopp will be doing. So, on to the next weekend.
So, just a random question, Avinash. What's happening with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? Like, he's not playing games? Just a random question.
He's injured.
Okay.
He's injured.
All right.
As ever.
Okay.
Nothing new.
All right.
I mean, all our midfielders are injured. All our defenders are injured. It's just a really, really
Why didn't you guys just give Lallana
state, right?
a Liverpool shirt and just pull him in?
Dude, he came on and went off injured in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yeah, he did go injured. Yeah.
It was that quick.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay. We've seen this before.
Yep.
But yeah,
But
it's
But yeah,
speaking
just
of,
it's just a difficult time right now, and we have to sort of push through and
So at what point are they
yeah.
going to
just
call you up,
stay
Avinash?
thereabouts. At what
Are they going
point?
to call you up for playing?
Yeah, it's going to happen soon. At this rate, they got to just put out a tweet saying, anybody who's available,
Calling
just
for
come out for
fans.
trials. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
what
yeah, as in the
what's going on?
I think Klopp definitely vented out his frustration in the
yeah.
post-match interview about all the injuries and I think mainly towards the early kickoff on Saturday. He definitely did not like the fact that they were scheduled for the early kickoff, and yeah, as in I have like I completely understand his frustration, but I did not I don't attest to the tone that was used in that interview. Like him saying congratulations to an interviewer was uncalled for. It was like no one wishes injury on players, uh, and and particularly as in I know that probably he meant the larger audience or somewhat, but I felt
Broadcasters,
like yeah, but I felt that you as a manager you kind of have to be more composed than that uh,
yeah. I mean,
when talking to broadcasters.
yeah. Listen, I agree. I think it might have been a little OTT, but he's frustrated. Like he's been banging on about this for I don't know how long, and people just don't want to listen. I mean, it's just the English thing, right? Just suck it up and get on with it. That's all they know how to say. And that's basically you think about what he said, right? That I listen. I like Deskely, and I think he stood up well, but I don't agree with his point that it is the role of the PL and the clubs who signed the agreement, and the broadcasters are basically not to blame here. For example, there was absolutely nothing stopping them from putting Liverpool for the 5:30 p.m. kickoff, just like West Brom, was it West Brom? West Brom, Sheffield United, Everton, Leeds,
Correct.
right? None
Yeah.
of them played in midweek. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be playing the first two games, 4:30 and 7 a.m. 4:30 and 3 p.m. kickoffs.
3 p.m.
He could easily have had Liverpool playing at 5:30 and City at 12 p.m. because City also had to travel on Wednesday night to Greece, and this would have just made sure that you are actually looking after the players. They can choose to care, right? They can choose to be considerate if they wanted to, but they don't. Everybody is just, they just think, they're just so greedy and they just want to be like, oh, it's not our fault. You guys signed the deal, so you just have to live with it. And yeah, and I do agree that the clubs also have to take the blame. They're ready to basically sign anything they put forward. The broadcasters,
Yeah.
I mean, like if they really care about it so much, why not insert a clause saying give us minimum 72 hours between games, or we won't sign the deal.
Yeah.
But they're not ready to
Fair
do that
enough.
either because they want the money. And in between, it's just the players and the managers who have to kind of struggle, and they're
Struggle.
just I think Klopp should just shut up now because there's nobody listening. Like, what's the point? You know what they say, right? You don't fight with a pig because you both get
Yeah.
dirty and the pig likes
Yeah.
it.
Pig likes it. Yes.
So basically, that's all that's happening here. He should just shut up and focus on his team because there is just no point. He's just
Yeah.
wasting his energy and wasting his breath. And all people are going to say is, like I said, they're just going to criticize him. They're going to say, just shut up and accept it.
Yeah,
This is
I
how
don't.
it is.
I really don't criticize his point. I completely agree to that. As in, I don't see a reason why the game should be scheduled the way they are. But but yeah, it's just that the forum was incorrect. Like
Yeah.
that is what I felt.
Maybe he
Uh,
could have gone about it a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, at the
yeah,
end of the there are only
yeah,
so many forums, right? As the post-match interviews and the press conferences.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
But yeah,
that's
I think like even I think uh Ole mentioned this like
yeah,
2 games back.
exactly. He
So
said
a
the
lot of
exact same.
managers are it was exactly. It was not even like a different argument. It was the exact same argument that
Yeah,
why would you do this? As in,
I'll tell you what
and
he said. He said they were set up to fail. Those were his words,
yeah,
and I think that really sums it up well. You can't
yeah,
be expected to you can't be expected to like put the best version of yourself on the pitch. It's just really difficult when you
that's
have
true.
such little turnaround. Why can't you just give them as much time as you possibly can, right? There are constraints, I understand. There are Europa League teams who have to play on a Sunday, so you can't put them on a Sunday. But even within this, there is a lot of wriggle room. But they
Yeah,
basically just do not care. And yeah, I mean, there's just no
Would,
point.
hopefully
would,
it changes the
would
right direction.
this Would the substitutes having it to 5, wouldn't that have helped?
Yeah, that is
Another thing.
definitely
I
one
mean,
thing.
the whole
Every
idea is
every
to.
single league in Europe is doing it. Every single league in Europe has a winter break. How
Yeah, that's
many
what I was.
times, how many years have we been talking about this, right? That the demands in the Premier League are ridiculous. England players are completely done by the time they enter international tournaments. How many times does Harry Kane get injured in spring?
Yeah,
And and I mean, yeah, whatever. They just can't. They just don't care. That's all
yeah.
I can say.
Probably we
Uh,
should move on.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that was a
nothing else
rant
to
of
report.
some sorts. I thought Avinash was happy with the results, but
I mean,
sorry. Anyway, moving on to the results from the rest of the games. You could take notice of the graphic. You'll notice that City routine win 5-0, thrashing of Burnley. And
Annual tradition.
yeah,
I think this is the last 4 home games that they've
Yeah,
beaten Burnley
last
5
four,
0.
last four go home games. That's correct.
I'm gonna yeah bet on it next year. This is getting ridiculous.
the Everton and Aston Villa, the Kazoo teams, they seem to be going through a bad spell. Seems like they've lost. They've dropped points again. Leeds winning a really crucial game away. And you know what? Leicester lost today against
Fulham.
Fulham.
Home.
Why
I
would that happen?
don't know where that
My,
came from.
it
Mad.
is insane.
This is just a
It
mad
just
season.
No
it just
predictability at all.
yeah, it just goes to show you like how the table is set up at this point in time. I mean, Tottenham, Liverpool at 21 points, and it. If you look at the table, it's probably what even Man United with the game in hand. If they get those 3 points, they are in a title
Yeah,
challenge.
for
Now,
2 points.
I never thought that this would ever be possible, but with the start we came out with. So,
Yeah.
but anyways,
It's an
Yeah.
that's
open
it
season.
for
Let's
the
see who can
yeah
grab it.
open season is, and that's it for tonight. Stay tuned for our video next week on your favorite channel, Footy Times. But before you leave, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. We need your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.